Happy Sunday and good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. This is ATW All Things Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Twist, and we are live. We got a special show time today. It is 2:30 in beautiful, sunny northern Arizona where I'm at, and we have an amazing guest joining us today. Like I said, right now, join us on YouTube. All Things Wrestling, ATW Podcast. We're on Facebook. We're live on Twitter. We're joined today by the voice of Monday Night Raw, Jimmy Smith. And no more talking. Let's just bring him in. Jimmy, good afternoon.
How you doing, man?
How you doing? How's it going?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Just got into the hotel and, I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma at the moment. So, yeah, man, just got in, ready to go.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of shitty weather coming from the southeast right now and back east. So, yeah, I was hoping you didn't get caught by weather from somewhere.
Well, it's cold, but not bad. Like it's sun, it's not snowing, everything's good. I've been dodging weather basically the whole time I've been traveling the last couple of weeks. You just hope you don't run into anything and nothing gets canceled and all that stuff. So I've been dodging weather since pretty much the start of the year.
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, thanks for joining us, man. We really appreciate you jumping on. Know you're a busy guy. Constant travel, voice of Monday Night Raw. Been on the show for 6 months, 2 weeks away from your first Royal Rumble. What are the feelings on that, man? Are you just too busy to kind of get caught up? It looks like we're going to be in for a hell of a Rumble.
Yeah, a little bit. It's weird because when you do it every week, you're always doing Monday Night Raw every Monday. Things like this kind of catch up on you. You're like, oh yeah, it's Money in the Bank next week, or it's Royal Rumble, or it's something. It's always something coming up, but you're so in it that a lot of times it sneaks up on you in a way that when you do a fight every couple weeks, you have a little bit more time to digest big shows. When you're working every week, it's constant. And then this is a little different because it's the first event where the format didn't really exist when I was a kid, when I was a big wrestling fan. This is the first big pay-per-view. Like Hell in a Cell was a little different, but we had cage matches when I was a kid. So it wasn't that different to me. This is the first one where the format is, I've never called one, obviously. And then I've never even been around one, which is weird. So it's the first one that's just way out of the box for me.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think about because obviously it's, WWE's Road to WrestleMania, the biggest show leading up to Mania. So many things happening right now. Monday Night Raw, man, you guys are putting on a hell of a product. Monday Night Raw is just fun, seeing everybody in the mix. You got Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar coming up. Now, being that you're a former MMA guy coming in the MMA world, what kind of feelings does that give you watching? Obviously, this is pro wrestling versus MMA, but what does that feel like? You're like, man, you just wish these guys could really just throw down like they would in a cage or what? I mean, because that's just something we've been trying to see this either in the cage or in the squared circle for 20 years now.
Yeah. I mean, that's really the anticipation. That's the big thing. It isn't, the format, whether it's, it's MMA or pro wrestling or the deal. The point is when you look at Brock Lesnar, when you see him physically in real life, you have to be able, or I have to be able to tell the audience that whoever they're taking on, whoever that is a threat. I have to be able to say this person's a threat. This guy's a real challenge. With Bobby, I don't have to say that. You know what I mean? I don't have to go that far out on a limb to go, God, who's the guy who could take on this guy? I am telling you, Bobby Lashley is stronger than he looks, and he looks strong. It's crazy how strong that guy is. So when you look at him, I don't feel like I have to go that far over the top to explain how competitive this matchup would be. I mean, the audience can see it and go, wow, these guys could really go toe to toe and it would be something great. So that's awesome that the fans themselves are already kind of all in on this matchup. It's great.
Right. Now you might be a little biased, but what's the bigger matchup at the Rumble? Is it Lesnar, Lashley, or is it Roman, Seth Rollins?
I really go off the fans. I really do. I mean, I kind of go off fan reaction when it comes to stuff like this because they're they have the experience, they have the knowledge to really get excited. And from what I've seen from fans, they're really excited about Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar. That's what I'm seeing from people.
Right.
I'm excited about both of them. I think Seth Rollins is absolutely amazing. There's, of course, a history with the Shield and all that stuff. So it's kind of there's a nostalgia effect for the fans for that one.
Right.
But I think with Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, it's the newness of it. It's the, as you said, two guys who have been in the same industry and kind of circling each other for 20 years and never actually met in the ring. That novelty, I think, is really big. So I would honestly say Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar, not just because it's Raw, but because it really feels like the newness of it is a big deal,
Now I'm going to put you on the spot. If they were in the cage, who would your money be on?
Man, here's the thing about it. I would have to see how they did in their last fight and how active they were, because one thing about Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar in the cage is they were never active. They're only active in streaks, and Bobby, when I was in Bellator, he was never that consistent with the career. He looked good in Bellator, but he was never that consistent with it. Same thing with Brock Lesnar in the UFC. Won the title, took a long time off, retired, came back from Mark Hunt and all that stuff. It's the consistency of it, because both guys are physical bullies. And I don't mean that as an insult. I mean, in the octagon or in the cage, bigger, stronger, manhandle you, get on top and beat the crap out of you. They both have that same style. They're not the kind of guys who wait around and figure out the exact moment to strike. They're not those guys. So the fact that you would have both of them using the same strategy, they're both front runners, they're both quick starters, and whoever kind of had that edge in their last few fights, who was a little bit more consistent with the training and the camps and all that stuff, would have the edge. So to me, it'd be about the fights leading up to that. Whoever had the most fights leading up would probably get my pick.
Right. Yeah, it's just crazy that it's taken this long for these guys to just kind of go toe to toe. So I think I'm probably most excited for the Lesnar Lashley match. What was it? Let's go back to the pay-per-view day one. Seeing Lesnar being thrown into that match, Big E losing the title. I mean, it's a 5-way match. I don't even think they have a name for it, but just kind of seeing Lesnar jump over, and then winning that. I mean, that was kind of a shock. Obviously, Roman got COVID. They're building up to the Roman Lesnar, and WWE kind of switched gears. So they've switched gears on us twice, because now you got Seth Rollins, who had really the legitimate shot to face Big E for the title, but then all these guys just kept get thrown into the mix. So now you got Seth Rollins jumping over. I mean, WWE is doing a lot of great stuff here with the product. I think it's getting the fans talking and excited. I mean, what was that like, kind of seeing Lesnar jump into that match?
I didn't have any more notice than the fans. None. We found out that day. I mean, I showed up to, I think I may have gotten less notice than the fans, where they may have announced it, and then I heard about it, because I was given, basically, hey, it's a fatal 5-way. You're calling the main event. And I thought it was a swerve. I was like, what? They go, no, really. He has COVID. Like, you're calling a fatal 5-way, and that's the main event. Now Lesnar's in the fatal 5-way. And I was like, okay, great. So it was very, in a sense, like, people are, oh, were you nervous? It's freeing. It's liberating. Going, I think my open on camera was like, hey, fatal 5-way. I don't know any more than you do. Let's see what happens. It was kind of fun to be in the same, in the shoes of the fans, where I was like explaining to them what was going on, and I'm explaining it to myself. I'm trying to get it right in my own head. Oh, it's a fatal 5-way. He's in this. If he wins, blah, blah, blah. And so the elements that made it interesting for the fans made it interesting for me. So It was fun to do that. Who was going to come out on top and why and what plans they had. I had no idea. I never have any idea for the big pay-per-views, which is awesome. So I get to experience it just like the fans. So all of those questions were questions in my head. And one of the things I'm always told in the position I'm in as the play-by-play guy is, look, you're the audience. So if you have a question, they might have a question. If you're wondering about something, they might be wondering about something. So be vocal with those things. And I did that. And Byron and Corey were both in the same boat. They didn't find out before I did. So we're all sitting there kind of asking the same questions. So it was a really organic way to call it. It was a lot of fun for me.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. I mean, as a fan, it was amazing. That match was, I mean, that day one event was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Being I'm a lifelong wrestling fan, and seeing 2 pay-per-views in January, and obviously the big lead up for the Rumble, a little skeptical about the day one. It's like, oh, how big of an event are they going to be able to really put on this close to the Rumble? But I think they did a great job.
Me too. And these were questions that everybody had. These weren't, exclusive to the fans. But I was going, man, will people turn out for a day one show? Will they, will people, after New Year's, will they want to go to an event? Blah blah blah. It's big for football, right? I mean, maybe you're watching the Rose Bowl. I'm from Southern California, so the Rose Bowl's huge. Maybe you're doing this or that or whatever it is. Packed house. They were really into it. Everybody seemed genuinely enthused about the card. They seemed genuinely enthused about the matches. The Fatal Five-Way had no gaps or lulls or, you also wonder too, with everything changing, it was supposed to be Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. Well, Brock Lesnar's thrown in late. Will that kind of throw everything off? And you'll kind of have a tempo or timing that isn't good. There was none of that. It was a great match to me all the way around. So, and then the Fatal Four-Way the next day on Raw was arguably even better. And those elements really came together in an organic way, and it doesn't always work that way. So to see it happen January 1st was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I kind of want to backtrack a little bit. You're 6 months into the gig, kind of coming off of, the Adnan Virk kind of controversy, the guy that you filled his spot who wasn't in there too long. How was that coming in? I know you were a little bit in NXT before they brought you up to Raw, but what was that transition like for you first, coming from an MMA world to the pro wrestling world?
Totally different, because in any sport, like I've been watching football all day, given the opportunity, I'm a football fan. If they told me, all right, Jimmy, we've had a problem, you got to call Steelers Chiefs on Monday. I mean, it's tonight, or like once again, Cardinals Rams on Monday. All right, you got to call a playoff football game. Okay, I know what a fan knows, right? I'm not a football expert necessarily. I know what a fan knows. I know how long a timeout is. I know what a penalty is. I know it's 4 quarters. I know X, Y, and Z. I know how much a touchdown is worth. I know how much a field goal is worth. You know the structure of whatever you're doing. With pro wrestling, sports entertainment, all of that's gone. Meaning, even I know when an MMA fight starts. I know when a boxing match starts, even if I'm not a hardcore fan.
Right.
WWE doesn't work that way. They, they come in and they get attacked early and and the match starts early, the match starts late. This weird thing happened. So the structure of, when you're supposed to go and when you're supposed to talk and how you're supposed to lead in is different every single time. You're literally working commercial to commercial because the structure of every single match is slightly different. So there was no preparing for it. There was no way to get ready for it in any way. It was like, okay, it's going 100 miles an hour and I got to jump on the train and hold on. And that's what I did. And it's only the last few weeks that I've started to understand the rhythm of the show itself. You know what I mean? That's only really the last couple months that started to click because it's different every time.
Are you a lifelong wrestling fan?
I was a huge fan, like everybody else in the 80s. So I was a fanatic in the 80s, like every other kid my age.
Right.
And what is hard to understand for a lot of people, I'm 44 years old. When I was a kid, it was before the Attitude Era. It was before it catered to college kids or high school. It really didn't do that when I was a kid.
Right.
When I was a kid, wrestling was a kid's thing. You were supposed to outgrow it at about 12, 13 years old.
Yeah,
and that's what I did. I stopped wrestling. I stopped watching maybe like 1990, 1991.
So we're around the same age, so I totally get what you're saying.
Right. Yeah. So when I was a kid, it's funny. I was telling somebody this. When I was a kid, kids watched it and like their parents or grandparents watched it. You were either old or young. It didn't cater to 20-year-olds. It didn't cater to, late teens. It didn't really do that. And so I stopped watching 90, 91. And then, I know obviously the Attitude Era was so big and there's so many crossover stars that you knew The Rock, you knew, Stone Cold Steve Austin, you knew Triple H. But I didn't watch until literally this, last year. I got a call about, hey, do you want to audition for the WWE? First thing I said was, I haven't watched your product in, 20 years, 30 years. And they went, no problem. Familiarize yourself with it and, see if it's something you'd want to do. And we want good broadcasters. You're a great broadcaster. And I said, okay. went out and auditioned and did it and did well. And here I am. So I was a fanatic for 12, 13 years, took a long hiatus, and now it's my life. So that's my that's the stopping and starting of my WWE fandom, man.
That's one hell of a transition.
Yeah.
Now,
It's crazy.
What is that like? The MMA world. I mean, calling a match. You typically got 2-man teams, sometimes 3-man teams. You're on a 3-man team right now on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah.
Does that? Like Corey Graves, Byron Saxton, you in the middle. You got the heel, the straight guy, and the baby face. Is the 2-man team, you think, more comfortable, or you think 3-man team flows really well for you?
Well, I don't in MMA, typically a 2-man team's a little easier.
Right.
But in sports entertainment, pro wrestling, the difference is we have to tell these stories that are often longer and more detailed and more in depth. So what I find really is Corey and Byron, and I figured this out like 3 or 4 months in, is their arguing or their discussion, their banter back and forth tells a lot of the story. So when they're going, oh, well, if you hadn't stabbed him in the back with this attack last week, well, that was only because of this. And like they're arguing about the two people who are competing. They tell a lot of the story of, filling in the blanks. And what I do, or what I've learned to do, what I see my role as is always turning that toward the match.
Right.
So they'll argue about this guy got stabbed in the back by this guy. And I'll go, yeah, but is he thinking about that now? Is that on his mind now as he's getting ready and walking in? And is he scared? Is he nervous? So I'm always trying to like deflect their conversation to the event. I'm sad, I'm mad, I'm happy. Okay, great. Does that make you better or worse in the ring? That's what I'm always trying to do. So I don't know the difference. I've never done a 2-man booth in sports entertainment, but the stories are so much longer that having 3 people isn't bad because they end up telling that story with their conversation, and it takes a lot of the burden off me. So rather than me telling the story, it's them kind of organically arguing and telling the story, and then I kind of fold that into the X's and O's in the match. So that's kind of how I see it.
Okay. I mean, it looked like a little while back, I think in December, I think there was some Twitter stuff going back and forth between you and Corey Graves, or there were some things going on where, basically you saying these guys are characters, you're Jimmy Smith and, Corey Graves is not Corey Graves and Byron Saxton is not Byron Saxton. Is there some heat with you guys behind the scenes, or is this just all in fun and everybody just trying to get to know each other and kind of, because these guys are coming from the pro wrestling world for a long time, you know what I mean? And then, you're coming in, you're the new guy coming from the MMA world. Are they giving you shit, about the announcing and this and that?
No, never. What happened was, what I was responding to on Twitter was Corey Graves had an argument with someone about the way he was doing something or the way he was approaching a character, Carmella, who's his real life fiance.
Right.
And someone was getting on his case about how he was talking about her. And what I said on my show, and what you probably saw on social media, I have a show about MMA, and we discussed basically the broadcasting side of it. I go, he's playing a character. So if you don't like what he's saying, it's not Corey Graves.
Right.
Corey Graves isn't his real name. He's doing everything in character. So if you're like, that guy is a terrible person, he's playing a terrible character. Whether you like it or not, you have to understand that his position on air is not like it's part of the show. Everything's part of the show. You know what I mean? When people say, somebody runs from the commentary table and jumps into the ring, I don't respond to it until it's on camera. Exactly. Of course, I see the person get up and run into the ring. I'm not blind.
Yeah, they're like, how did you not see that?
Right. Yeah, it's like somebody criticizing me. Of course, I have eyes, but it's all part of the show, which is the difference between calling MMA or calling boxing and calling Monday Night Raw is I'm calling the show. I'm not part of the show. Meaning, if something goes wrong in the ring or in the octagon, that is not my problem. It's really like I can, these people suck. Whatever. I can say whatever I want. Or a referee bungles something, I can call it out because I'm not part of what they're doing. I'm talking about what they're doing. Monday Night Raw, I'm part of the show. Corey's part of the show. Byron is part of the show. And people that can't understand that don't understand our business. And
Right.
that's what the discussion was about, you know?
Right. Now, your guys' counterpart, the SmackDown team.
Yeah.
Now, Pat McAfee, coming from the sports world too, like yourself, how much is Pat McAfee the character, and how much is Pat McAfee the guy?
He's, you know, what's funny? It's like, you know, Randy Savage once said, he goes, "It's me turned up." You know, he said one time, "Yeah, I'm pretty much like that." You know, he's kind of a wild man anyway, but I just turn it up when I'm on camera. That's Pat McAfee. You know, it's just, he's not that different in real life. He's just, once again, turned up a bit. It's just, I wouldn't say he's playing a character. He's just an amplified fan version of himself. You know, it's not that different when you sit there and talk to Pat. But it's just turned up, man. It's you know, you use the broadcaster voice, the big boy voice, whatever we say.
Right.
And it's a turned up version of himself. That's the best way to put it.
Right. Now, being a wrestling fan from the 80s, like myself, you know, we're about the same age. If you could call a match with anybody, alive or dead, pro wrestling commentators, who would be a dream match to call with? What guy? Alive
right.
or dead?
What match or what wrestler?
What? No, I'm sorry. What announcer? So Gorilla Monsoon, Bobby Heenan, you know, any of these, Mean Gene Okerlund, you know, guys today. You know, I think you and Michael Cole would make a good team. But obviously, you know, yeah, who could you call a match with? Anybody, alive or dead?
Right. If I could call a match with anyone, I would have to go with Jesse Ventura, just because he was kind of the voice of it when I was a kid. A lot of times with Gorilla Monsoon, and Gorilla Monsoon was absolutely amazing. And he's incredible. But as a play-by-play guy, if I had to pick, you know, what we call color, the analyst role, Jesse the Body did it better than almost anyone. And he was so great at kind of the outrage of the heel. I remember he was so good at really making you believe that he believed that what happened to the guy was just, even if it was just desserts or whatever it was, that he was genuinely, truly outraged that this was happening. He was fantastic. And Bobby the Brain Heenan, I mean, people in the business really think he had the best wrestling mind of all time. So I got to go with Jesse Ventura, Bobby Heenan. Absolutely incredible, both of them.
Yeah, I mean, I got to agree, man. I think Jesse the Body, that's like the voice of my childhood as a kid. And I think him and Gorilla Monsoon, even when Jesse was doing commentary, even with Vince McMahon, when Vince McMahon did the early Monday Night Raw days. Yeah. I mean, Jesse was fantastic. So I guess your dream match would be to call it with Jesse the Body. That would be, I think, one hell of a commentating team for sure.
I think we'd be great, man.
So with the Rumble coming up, you got all this talk right now about the Forbidden Door, right? Mickie James looks like she's going to be the big surprise. She's the Impact Wrestling Women's Champion over there. She announced yesterday, she said she's showing up with her belt, with her theme music, coming, you know, full hog into the Women's Royal Rumble. You had on Friday night, looks like Lita, she's going to be in the Rumble. On the men's side, I know you can't give anything away, but who could be a shocker that, you know, who do you think, what kind of surprises could we see in the men's Royal Rumble? There's so many names getting thrown out there.
There are a million names out there. And I'm honestly, I'm not trying to not give any away. I don't know. Like, I haven't been given any information you haven't been given. So I'm just as perplexed as everybody else. And I'm really wondering who they're going to throw out there. I have absolutely no idea. I have none. So the cool thing is, and people don't really realize this, for the big events, I'm just as surprised as everybody else. And when John Cena came out after Money in the Bank, I didn't know that. Nobody told me he was coming out. It was SmackDown, so I don't have to call it. So nobody had to tell me because I was already in the dressing room when he came out. I had no idea. I had no clue when Brock came out at SummerSlam. I had no idea when Becky Lynch came out at SummerSlam. I had no idea. So the cool part for me is I get to wonder just like you because I have no idea and I get to be totally surprised. So my reaction on camera is totally genuine. I have no idea. Yeah.
Yeah, so it looks like about a week ago, you know, Johnny Laurinaitis, he was asked about it, and he said that basically this is not an issue anymore, that the door's open. So I think as a fan, that's exciting because you never know now who the hell you might see show up in the Rumble. I think this might be the most exciting Royal Rumble maybe ever.
Yeah, and then on the women's side, you have Charlotte Flair, the first champ, who says, I'm going to win the Royal Rumble. I'm going to decide who my opponent is at WrestleMania. And she's so talented, and she's been getting such a push. I don't know, how that's going to work out. She's a huge X factor. It's amazing to me. It really is. And Lita coming out on SmackDown. The women's side, I think, is incredibly compelling. And we have no idea what's happening. Bianca Belair with her performance last year. We saw that they're not afraid to allow new talent to flourish, that kind of thing. I think that precedent's been set. So, yeah, I can't wait to see it.
So let's talk. You brought up the women's. So right now, it looks like we got Doudrop going against Becky Lynch at the Rumble. With the way that match kind of went down, do you think they might throw Bianca Belair into that mix to make it a triple threat because of how it went down? Do you think that's possible?
One thing I've learned in being on Monday Night Raw is anything is possible. Anything is possible. But another thing that we've been seeing with the whole Bianca Belair Doudrop rivalry, with the whole thing with Becky Lynch, is Doudrop herself is incredibly physically talented. She can do a lot of stuff. And the people behind the scenes acknowledge and appreciate that. She can do anything. She's fast, she's strong, she can do a lot. And they're showing a lot of faith in her. So could they make it a triple threat match or something else? I'm sure they could. But my point is they've also shown that they believe Doudrop can handle herself in a big match. Remember, she's in the finals of the Queen's Crown at Crown Jewel. So they've shown faith in her already. So nothing would really surprise me at this point.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where they're going with that. I mean, like I said,
Monday
Night Raw, man, I might be a little biased, a big WWE fan, but enjoying Monday Night Raw for sure. Now, on the flip side, with SmackDown, looks like Roman Reigns is now the official longest reigning Universal Champion. But I know you're not on that side of it, but who do you see going over, or who's your prediction, Roman or Seth Rollins at the Rumble?
The fact that Seth went from Raw to SmackDown for this challenge, the fact that they have the history they have, and the dude's an X factor anyway, in everything he does. As we discussed, it was I earned my shot against Big E, and then Kevin Owens gets involved, and then ultimately is Bobby Lashley, and then Brock Lesnar get involved. They've shown a willingness to kind of use Seth Rollins as the monkey wrench in the gears, right? That everything gets screwed up. He goes in there and changes everything. So are they building on that X factor appeal when it comes to Roman Reigns, who's just been like clockwork, absolute clockwork for SmackDown? He's done amazing work there. So is he kind of the monkey wrench in there? I don't know. I have no idea, but it's that speculation that makes it work. I'm not sure. I guess I'd be leaning Roman Reigns. He's been so good so far, but it wouldn't surprise me if Seth Rollins, because of that unpredictability of him and his character, that's the way they go with it. It wouldn't surprise me at all.
So you're not really calling a prediction.
I'm not calling a prediction, man. I'm not doing that.
All right. I thought maybe we'd get a prediction out of you. Figure, hey, it's on my show. I can maybe call a prediction, but that's cool. Hey, so what's your travel like? I mean, I know Monday Night Raw is a once a week show, but is the travel just insane for you throughout the week? Just kind of a whirlwind, and next thing you know, you're getting ready for Monday Night Raw. What does that preparation look like?
Yeah, I fly out Sunday, show's Monday. I fly out Tuesday morning, every week. Doesn't matter what's going on. All the other gigs I do from home. I have my own radio show with SiriusXM, Unlocking the Cage. It's all about MMA. I do work for ESPN International, UFC Fight Camp. I do that we shoot that Wednesday nights. So, but that's all from my home studio. But every Sunday I fly out. Every Monday I do a Raw. Every Tuesday I fly home. That is my schedule every single week without exception. Then obviously we have the pay-per-views. It's fly out Saturday. It's fly out Friday, pay-per-view Saturday, drive Sunday to wherever Raw is going to be, do Raw, fly home Tuesday. That's my schedule every single time. And so far, I've adjusted to it pretty well. I'm used to traveling a lot for MMA, but this is my weekly gig now. Yeah.
That's crazy, man. That sounds like that's exhausting just hearing that. Like, I hate sleeping in hotel rooms. I always have a hard time sleeping. So, I mean, but that adrenaline just must keep you going. From the live shows.
Yeah, it does.
And
Yeah, the hard part is sleeping after a show for me because of the adrenaline. I mean, a good big show, bam, 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 it's 3 hours. I'm amped all the way up to here, and then you get back to the hotel room, and my flight's at 7. Got to be there at the airport around 5:30. I got maybe 4 hours to sleep, and you're just geeked up. It's very, very hard to like calm down post show in time to get the sleep you're gonna get. That's always hard.
So, with this being your first WrestleMania coming up, what are your thoughts on that? It's going to be. It looks like WWE sticking to the 2-day show type of thing. That just sounds insane. I know they were doing that because of COVID and this and that, but hopefully everything stays open. Nothing's getting shut down. Does it look like you guys are going to, have 100,000 people there? It's going to be in Dallas, right?
Yeah, it's Dallas 2 days. Yeah, right now everything looks like it's good to go. I can't wait to call my first WrestleMania. That's going to be huge. I mean, that's amazing to me. I remember the first one. That's how old I am. So I've been around from the first to now, and to do that is I can't, like, I don't know. Having never been around it, it's obviously while working for the WWE, it's going to be just one of those once in a lifetime thing. I'll get to say that I called the Super Bowl of sports entertainment. I got to do WrestleMania. So it hasn't even sunk in that it's real yet. On the road to WrestleMania, but I did Money in the Bank. I did day one. I've done pay-per-views, and I'm obviously doing Rumble, and that's great. But WrestleMania is almost its own plateau.
Absolutely.
And the first time you just can't prepare for it. You just go out there and just do my job to the best of my ability. That's all I can do.
Man, since you jumped in, because I caught you since you first came onto the Monday Night Raw broadcasting team. I mean, you're just like on it. You never sound like you know what you're talking about. You don't sound nervous. So I mean, like, to make that switch and just dive right in. I mean, shit. We're here at the show. We're a huge fan. We think you sound fantastic. I think you guys got a great announcing team. We're excited for the Rumble, man, and to see you call your first WrestleMania. I mean, yeah. I mean, though the butterflies, I mean, that's gonna probably be a lot, right? How do you kind of psych yourself up for the something like even just the Rumble, going into the Rumble?
And this is a universal for me. This is my whole career. Once I'm past the open, I'm okay. You're always nervous about the opening of a show because it's you got to be big energy and you got to hit certain points about what's coming up in the main event or whatever it is, whatever they want from me. Once that's done, you're off and running. You're reacting to what's happening, especially in a pay-per-view. We don't have a lot of extra elements. We've told all the stories, and now it's time for here are our matches, go with it. And once I'm past the open of the show, we're off and running, and it is what it is. And you don't have time to get nervous. You don't have time to really think about it. And that's really being in that zone. It's like, when I was fighting or when I was grappling, like waiting for the fight is the worst. Once you start throwing punches, like, oh, okay, here I am. And either I win or I don't, or, same thing in jiu-jitsu. And that waiting or that when they're announcing you, that's when you're at the most nervous. When first time you get hit, first time you hit somebody, it's on. And that's all there is to it. Same thing in broadcasting, man. Once I'm past the open, I'm okay.
So with the Rumble coming up, I know you probably can't throw out who you think's going to win, but let's talk about 2022. Who do you think you kind of see as big breakout stars this year, let's say from Monday Night Raw? Sounds like Doudrop's kind of coming into her own. She's going to be in the title mix. What are a few superstars we should be keeping
Austin Theory. It's obvious the dude's got incredible physical talent, and the whole Mr. McMahon angle and taking him under his wing. It almost says this guy's destined for big things. It just says that 100%. So Austin Theory, I think, is a guy who's going to have a great breakout year. When I look at SmackDown, two guys who were once again known for a long time, Los Lotharios, were known for their talent within the industry for a long time, their ability to do a lot of different stuff. Now they're getting the recognition they deserve. How long will this the Alpha Academy's run last. You know what I mean? The RK Bro being incredibly popular, lost the titles to the Alpha Academy. How long does that go? Are they like not breakout stars? Everybody knows who they are, but will they have that long sustained run in 2022? We don't know. But I see, looking at it now, who has the talent and who has the ability to do great things. And those are the names that pop out to me for sure. I go Doudrop, Austin Theory, and we'll see about the run of Alpha Academy because they're so, once again, physically talented. They can do anything.
Right. And then even almost and AJ Styles splitting, almost going on his own. The guy's a monster. What does this dude look like in person?
A giant. A giant looks like a giant. It's the only way I can describe it is he looks like a giant. I mean, he's huge. What's funny to me is like what people don't get is like the scale of the WWE. Like Shelton. Then people ask me, "Oh, what's it like being in the locker room for WWE as opposed to the locker room for UFC or Bellator?" Like Shelton Benjamin isn't billed as a big guy, right? On Raw, he's not like seen as a big man. That dude is a giant, and he's all muscle, and he's huge, and he's not billed as a big dude. He's huge. Seth Rollins is huge, and once again, he's not billed as a big guy. So the scale of humanity in the WWE or in Raw is just off the chart. And Omos is the biggest of them. It's crazy. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because, you're a kid from the 80s. So going back to like Rocky 3, when Hogan's coming out to the ring and he's like, oh, why are they carrying him? He's walking, and he's telling Rocky, he's like, I've seen wrestlers as big as dinosaurs. He's like, you ever fought a dinosaur? It just makes me think of that because on the scale of it, in MMA world, you got a range of guys, so many different weight classes. These guys look like regular dudes, but when you see wrestlers, like somebody like Brock Lesnar or Bobby Lashley in person, I would imagine would just be like, wow, like this is a human that's in front of me, and he just looks like a monster.
Yeah, and that's that's the formula that is difficult to grasp in real life. And what I mean by that is most guys built like Bobby Lashley can't do what Bobby Lashley can do. They're these muscle-bound weightlifters. They can't really do what he can. They're not as athletic. Fighters built like Brock Lesnar typically aren't very good. That's why he stands out, is most guys built like him don't have a gas tank, aren't particularly technical, that for a million reasons. Why guys with builds like Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar aren't great athletes. These guys are great athletes. They can really perform. They can really do things other guys can't do. So that combination of size and yet ability to move and to have timing and to connect with an audience and do high flying stuff sometimes and all these crazy things that they do, you don't realize how rare that is until you've been around a lot of athletes. And I've been around a lot of athletes, and they're really rare.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. But hey, Jimmy, I know you're short on time. Busy man, getting ready for Monday Night Raw. We're 2 weeks out from the Rumble. We are so excited, but let everybody know where we can find you, because I know you said you got an MMA show. You're a busy guy. Let us know everywhere. Where can we find Jimmy Smith?
Well, I'm on SiriusXM Fight Nation, Unlocking the Cage. That's 2 to 5 Eastern. Every day I'm not doing Raw, which is Tuesday to Friday. If you live outside the United States, UFC Fight Camp is always on SportsCenter, where I break down everything UFC and MMA related. Those are my other 2 gigs. And of course, every Monday night on Raw. I'll see you guys there.
Yeah, awesome. Jimmy Smith, thank you so much for joining us today. ATW All Things Wrestling. And hey, man, we'll see you. Good luck at the Rumble. And it's WrestleMania season. Oh, wow. Hey, there he is, bringing in the sports mouth of the 313. We just had Jimmy Smith on. Alex, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. I'm doing good. Just watching some college basketball, some NFL playoffs. I'm good.
So what'd you think about the Jimmy Smith interview?
He is who he is. I've known him before WWE because I'm a big UFC fan, so it was amazing to get him on. Guy's an amazing guy. I like I said, I've been following him for a very long time, so yeah, it was amazing.
Well, he he was like, he thought he could give us about 30 minutes. So he was like, I'm traveling, blah, 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 this and that. So, hey, we soaked up every minute. It was a blast having him on. We talked about Raw. Did you catch Raw this week? See Alpha Academy winning the tag team RK Bro.
Yeah.
We got Doudrop going against Becky Lynch. It was a huge week for Raw. You build up to Lesnar and Bobby Lashley.
Right.
Roman Reigns is now officially the longest Universal Champion. I mean, it was a big week for WWE, man. They're pulling out
500 plus for sure.
Yeah, they're putting on a hell of a product. What do you think? 2 weeks away from the Rumble, are you excited for the Rumble?
Yeah, you know what? I'm always excited for the Rumble because the element of surprise, you just never know. And I got to give it up to Raw, Monday Night Raw. I mean, they're doing better things, bigger things, and that's what the fans want when you're sitting there for 3 hours. It's a very long time to sit there and watch any product. So I enjoyed the show. I can't sit there no more and watch the whole entire 3 hours, but I skimmed through it, and then I found myself going back to certain things, and oh my God, they lost the belts. So finally lost the belts. I know you've been asking for almost an AJ Styles to break up and get that feud going, and that match was the past couple of weeks. I feel for AJ Styles, man, just getting tossed around like a rag doll. My God. But
now he's popping up on NXT. So I don't know if you've been catching these.
Yeah.
Popping up on
NXT.
Yeah,
I tuned into there.
Going out with him there. So
yeah.
WWE's mixing it up because you got Rollins jumping over to SmackDown challenging Roman for the title. I tried to get Jimmy to give us a prediction for the Rumble, who was going to win. He couldn't do it, but I think I'm going with my man Seth freaking Rollins for the title at the Rumble. What do you think?
You know what? I think I have to go with that too, because I'm just going to go with that too, because that's the biggest standout. It's kind of hard. Usually you would know who was good. You can kind of call it, predict it, but this year it's not that predictable. So he's a big standout, but you never know. I mean, they could bring somebody in that just a surprise, and it could be him whoever it is. I'm more excited. I'm a lot more excited about about the women's Royal Rumble. I'm just a big into the women's and when they did the Evolution a few years ago and all that, and I like to see them always get escalated and the talent, and I watch obviously I watch SmackDown and Lita. I'm a huge fan of Lita. And she looks amazing. She looks better than she probably has even when she came back before. But I'm excited about that. I love
Charlotte Flair. Really, she did not sell that move, man. She put the twist of fate on her, and that was like the worst I've ever seen. That was
and you know what though? You know what? Me sitting there, and I don't like to dissect nothing, but me sitting there and like Jimmy was talking about, people's sizes, athleticism are so different, whether you're Bobby Lashley or you're a Doudrop, and I kind of like I kind of look at things differently. Like she didn't go with the flow, she didn't sell it, but I also looked at, well, she's about 3-4 inches, almost, it looks like 2 or 3 inches taller than Lita. So sometimes things get organically when they happen. It kind of gets it could be a cluster F or whatever. So it was what it was, and but yeah. So if I'm Charlotte Flair, I'm selling the shit out of that because it's
right.
It's a legend, it's a Hall of Famer. So, but yeah, but just like I said, just seeing her, I'm a sucker for when they bring back the legends, male or female, and I mean it was pretty good shows, really good shows this week, and obviously AEW Dynamite and Rampage had to kick it up a little bit, you know what I mean? The one that stood out to me was obviously Wardlow, and I like what they're doing with him and MJF. I love that, and I've been reading some things about his contract coming up and possibly WWE looking at him, and I don't see him leaving. I don't see Tony Khan letting that guy go, letting that gem, you know what I'm saying? That diamond out of his jewelry store, but. So
we're talking a little bit about the Forbidden Door.
Right.
Johnny Laurinaitis said a week ago, the door's open. We could see anybody in the Rumble. I was trying to, Jimmy Smith, obviously, he's like, he could speculate.
Yeah.
Obviously, you couldn't get it like, hey, who's going to show up? Because I think it's going to be a shocker. But, you got Wardlow could be a guy that could enter the Royal Rumble and the men's Royal Rumble. I mean, shit, you could fucking Chris Jericho jump into the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, and you know what? I think we're forgetting a little bit because it's kind of took a back seat in the last month because he didn't appear at AEW or anything like that. Windrum, I can't stop calling him Bray Wyatt, but formerly Bray Wyatt. Yeah, so I mean, I can see, maybe he shows up. I think there's going to be at least, if I had to pick a number, I'd say about at least three pretty big surprises in the men's Royal Rumble. Not so much the women's, because we kind of seen Lita, and I'm sure there'll be a couple other, legends maybe that they bring back or something, or maybe just like you mentioned, Mickey James, or just there's so many, the independent and just wrestling landscape has just changed so much drastically in the last year or less. But so I'm always excited for the Rumble, man. The Rumble, we grew up on that. The Rumble, obviously WrestleMania, Survivor Series, those, SummerSlam, those are the big four for me and for the real wrestling fan, and I'm sure the casual wrestling fan as well. So I'm always excited for the Rumble, man. Just sit there, and I might have to force my daughter to. She's not big into it too much, but she does. If she's gonna watch any show, it's gonna be that one with me, and I just enjoy spending time with her watching that, and watching the countdown. It's just it's exciting. It's a really exciting time,
Yeah, I was telling Jimmy, I think I'm excited. This might be the biggest Rumble ever.
Yeah, in a while.
You never know who's gonna show up. I mean, it's always every year you're like, you could be a surprise, but it's usually a legend coming back. But be shocked, or you will be shocked if you see somebody from AEW or Impact Wrestling or GCW. Anybody could show up.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you what. If I was booking something, I would, and I know he kind of simmered down too, but I mean, I would pay a Nick Gage to come and just appear and. I mean, that would be pretty cool for me to see that because he was on fire, past a couple months ago going into the summertime. So you just never know. You just never know, and I'm not one to read spoilers and try to Google stuff and find out this and that. I love the element of surprise. So, like I said, I'm excited, really excited to see what happens, and even more excited now to watch Jimmy Smith call this. Royal Rumble or WrestleMania or whatever he's going to call. I'm not sure who's calling what, but yeah, it's going to be exciting, man. I'm really looking forward to it. And with the Brock Lesnar and the Bobby Lashley, the one thing I liked about them on Raw face to face was they let Brock Lesnar talk.
Right.
They didn't give the mic to Paul Heyman. He had his little all he needs is a couple seconds, and he stands out. Paul Heyman's a magician on the microphone. But I thought it was cool. I thought it could have been a little bit better. You know what I mean? But it was what it was. I like, they both got their advocates or whatever you want to call them next to them. So I love that. That seemed really very old school to me. With the managers next to them, there ain't many managers at all in wrestling no more. At least not, and on the main scene, WWE, AEW, Dynamite. Just everybody's coming out with everybody now and stuff. So I enjoyed it though. I'm not trying to knock it. I loved it. And Bobby Lashley is the man. If a lot of people don't understand that, how much of a freak athlete he is, and the type of things that the records that he broke, and things like that. And in the army, my nephew was in the army for 5 years and served in Afghanistan and all that good stuff. And I touched base with him about some of the records that Bobby Lashley had, and he was like that because my nephew would tell me about how how many miles they had to run and this and that and the timing, and Bobby Lashley both of them are freaks of nature, man. So to see that is it was pretty cool. It was really cool for sure. Kind of Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant somewhat. You know, just that standoff. I love a good standoff.
So who are you predicting for the Rumble to win? Lesnar versus Lashley. We're 2 weeks out. They got a pretty good buildup going. Who do you got?
I don't see Bobby Lashley winning, only for the simple fact that he doesn't have to win, and he will still be a dominant force going you know, and going down the road into WrestleMania, and maybe they go back to that. But I just don't see them taking the belt off Brock Lesnar anytime soon. I still think there's I don't know if it's gonna be Roman Reigns, you know, versus him. We're gonna go back to that. So it's unpredictable, and this is what we always talk about, like the element of surprise, man, just being unpredictable. So I'm a big, you already know, I'm a big Bobby Lashley fan. I'm a big the Almighty Almighty fan, but I see Brock Lesnar still doing it, still coming away with the belt. And I don't know if there's gonna be any interference or anything like that. I'm just excited to see it because I want to see how this match is gonna go because it's been so long in the making. I don't even know how these monsters, is it gonna be a 6-minute match, a 2-minute match? Is it gonna be a 15-minute match? I mean, I'm sure their stamina is at the highest level still, even at their age and Brock Lesnar's age, because I had a friend tell me one time about Brock Lesnar, and he doesn't like him for whatever reasons, and I'm like, look, man, this guy's been doing something you're never ever going to see, and I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be around to witness that. I mean, it'll be a very long time before you see a guy like Brock Lesnar leave WWE, go win the UFC championship, come back, go back, you're not gonna see that no more.
Right.
You know what I mean? So he's an amazing, just amazing athlete and talent, man. But I would like to see Bobby Lashley win, but I don't see it. I don't see him getting his shine just yet. Like I said, hopefully they carry it into maybe WrestleMania. Do it one more time if the match is that great, and I'm sure it will be. And I would love to see Bobby Lashley, go back at it, get his rematch, maybe at WrestleMania. But who knows? Who knows? They're finally mixing it up. So that's what makes it so exciting. That's what wrestling is all about.
Yeah, I have to agree. I really enjoyed mixing it up. Rollins jumping over to SmackDown, Lesnar, being WWE champ. We never know. It could turn into a fatal 4-way for both belts at WrestleMania.
Yeah. Or even if it's a 3-way, Yeah.
That would be insane.
Yeah, man. I'm excited. And you know what? I just wanted to touch on real quick. I didn't realize. I don't know if they announced it on Monday Night Raw that Seth Rollins was going to jump over to SmackDown. I think that's where we've seen it, right? And I was like, oh boy. So
yeah.
With the Shield thing and all that, and I love Seth Rollins. I love him like no other. So to see him come out there dancing and everything, and just be in the ring once again with Roman Reigns, with his former Shield partner, that was pretty fun to watch. But I also have to touch on this because it's also about it's sports entertainment. I have to ask you this: what did you think about Sami Zayn and his jackass bit?
I'm not big.
It was what it was, but we're going
kind of cross promotion thing with some celebrities, and
right.
Knoxville going into the Rumble.
Johnny Knoxville, right?
I could really care less for it. Sami Zayn,
right?
Zayn is entertaining, so
yeah, and that's all I took from it, and he's just so funny to me on the mic, and like I said, man, when I watch wrestling, I want to see a great match. You kind of get that a little bit more, unless it's a Bobby Lashley, Brock Lesnar, or whatever, or a Alita, Charlotte Flair. Like I hope that she sticks around. I would love to see Alita versus Charlotte Flair match, just maybe the following night or something. I mean, that would be like, you want to get some ratings. Come on, you give us something like that. You know what I mean? If she maybe gets, it throws her out of the the Rumble or whatever. But there was so many things going on through my mind when I was watching all of this and paying attention to all this, because we haven't, like I said, WWE has not mixed it up like this in a minute. It's just been like you said, the Roman Reigns show, and then it was, basically, whether it was Drew McIntyre through the COVID era, carrying everything all the way down his shoulders, or Bobby Lashley. Those guys were MVPs, and not to exclude Randy Orton, but like I said, man, I'm I'm loving it. I'm excited, and I can't wait to see how I don't want to jump too far ahead, but after the Rumble, how things are shaking up and stuff like that. So
yeah, it's exciting, man. I'm looking
for sure.
looking forward to the Rumble. I think next week we could have maybe a special Rumble show because we're 2 weeks out, but obviously 2 weeks from today. Well, shit,
right.
They don't have it to the afternoon. So if we do our show from today in the morning, that could be a special Royal Rumble.
That would be great. That would be fun.
Yeah, let's do that, and then maybe we can bring a couple other guys on. They could chat with us, and we could talk all things Rumble. Didn't catch a lot of
I like that.
So I think next week we could definitely chat more about AEW. Special thanks to Jimmy Smith for jumping on today. Jimmy Smith, the voice of Monday Night Raw. Thanks again, Jimmy, for being on. Catch him on his podcast. Alex, the sports mouth of the 313. We got a special episode today. So we're going to be wrapping it up. We're not going as long as we usually do, but we want to thank you guys for joining us. Alex Melendrez, you can find him on Instagram, Twitter, SportsMouth313. I'm your host, Tony Twist, ATW_Tony_Twist. You can find us ATW_Podcast for Life on Instagram. Jump on over to our YouTube channel. Give us a like, hit subscribe, share it. Alex, what do you got going on the rest of the day?
Nothing. Just gonna probably watch a little bit more football, and that's it, man. Just get ready for the week and get ready to watch some more wrestling. I'm actually excited about watching Monday Night Raw again tomorrow. Yeah. So that's basically it, man. For sure. Yep.
All right, man. Well, hey, that's been our show today. Wrapping it up. Special episode. Keep a lookout for us next week. Back to our normal time, 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. You can catch us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I'm your host, Tony Twist, Alex Melendez, SportsMouth313, and we're out.
Peace.